maybe
No.
you couldn't send anything.
Okay.
Was
I did send material. I sent it to Stefano, and I'm sorry they didn't reach you. Do you mean material for this lesson?
last lesson?
No, sorry, the material.
Yeah.
Last lesson's material are all with Stefano, and
Okay.
I don't know
But
why.
maybe he forgot to send me. I don't know if the others have received it.
No, nobody sent because it should be you, Sarah, sharing that with us. I think with the students. But
again, I don't know where to share them anymore.
We will find a way to make this sharing available to everyone since.
Right. So there needs to be, I think that there needs to be some clarity about this, because as I said, I mean, I was trying to share them, creating a folder in my Google account, but it has to do with Google, and Stefano told me that he wasn't agreeable with Google accounts or using, for example, Classroom, G Suite, and the rest of it. So if there is a cloud, kindly give me the details and I'll put them there, because I think it's, otherwise it really is impossible for me to have, a procedure in place.
Yep. Okay.
Is that okay, Elena?
We will create a space in our cloud for
exactly.
all the to this.
Well, I think that
they will have their link and they can access the material.
Excellent. So as I said, I mean, I think it is actually up to you and the platform really to create this space for me. I can't, dig it up by myself. So that's done. And hopefully all materials will be shared in this way. Clarity will be reached and everybody will be happy. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Not at all. My pleasure. Any more questions?
No.
And then, sorry?
Oh, one more. Sorry. One more
sorry,
question.
Can I make sure that there are no other? Can I make sure that there are no other questions from other people before?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it. Okay.
Okay.
Marilena,
yes,
go ahead.
Yes, sorry. But my question was only about the link. Because we had at the beginning some links for each lesson,
Meeting.
But in the last ones, there have been changes. I don't know whether we have to wait for new links or we can take for granted the old ones, for example, in January, February, and so on. Or should we wait for other links? You don't know.
Elena, please do take the lead on this one because I have no clue what the admin decides on this.
I will check the links that have been sent at the beginning of the at the beginning of the course. Check if they are all correct.
They aren't the same.
They are or they aren't?
They aren't the same.
Okay, great. I will check them and I'll let you know in the WhatsApp group, okay?
Thank you. No more questions.
Well, if you do have, actually, I do remember some questions. Some of you asked me to assist them with finding material in preparation of exams. And I have to say that I'm glad to do that as far as I go along in the course. However, please do try to if you have a particular exam in mind, do try to consult the web page of the high stake exam that you want to take, because I'm sure you will have plenty of guidance in those pages. But if you do not understand something from those pages, then bring them to lesson and we will make sense of them. Is that okay? Good. I don't remember any more questions. I hope you're all well. Are you all in good health? Are you all keeping well?
Yeah.
Excellent. I do hope that is very important. It is the most important thing. And it's so lovely, greatly encouraging for me to see that you are all well, doing well, and joining us in lesson. So, shall I tell you what I've got in mind for us today? Let me open a few box of tricks. I will share everything with you, so please do not do not be worried to take notes unless I ask you to take notes. So let's see what I've got in mind for us today. Today, I had in mind to start our focus on reading skills. And at C1, some of you expressed already the will to take a certification at C1 level. And it is therefore important to consider how C1 certification exams are modeled on non-fiction narrative and evidence-based texts. Is everything clear so far, or do you have questions?
Everything clear?
Good, lovely.
Yes.
Let me model my screen, because otherwise you see yourselves twice. Okay, so the material I thought to use will be relevant nevertheless to all students, whether or not you are taking a certification. Why? Because at C1, whether you are preparing for an exam or whether you are simply preparing yourself to function at C1 level, you work on real academic tasks. Do you remember what we said academic tasks were? What are academic tasks? And reassure me that you know it.
I think that academic tasks are general tasks, not specific for microlanguage tasks, and so you should be ready to read and listen to general kinds of material documents.
Okay. Yes, indeed, you are. I think you are pretty much correct. However, I do stress that at C1 we are talking about academic skills. Academic meaning complex information that must be inferred and not necessarily deducted all the time. So you will not hear or you will not read about people telling you exactly what they think, but not because they're hiding it, simply because they will be presenting it in a pattern of or a textual organization that is advanced. You will start hearing together cause and effect, for example, problems, solutions, evaluations, descriptions, chronological accounts. And you will need, therefore, to have those key skills that allow you to receive these texts and know exactly what they are. And since we start our focus on reading skills, that's exactly what we start doing. Today, we will therefore do the following. I am going to start with a video. I'm going to start by showing a video where a student said, a student tells us about what makes the reading test difficult. And we are going to reflect ourselves on sorry, there's a W missing here. What do you think you need to work on to improve your reading skills? What makes you nervous when you think about sitting and reading a reading test? And if you're not if you're not sitting a reading test, what makes you nervous when you have to address a complex text at C1 level? And then we're going to look at some strategies, starting from what your problems are and reflecting on some solutions that we find from research. And then we start with the first of our strategies, skimming. Okay? So are we ready to make a start? If you have any questions, please do ask at any point, okay? Perhaps not when the video is playing, but at any other point, they will be absolutely welcome. Okay. So let's introduce the video. 1 second, please, because I can't find my sorry, give me a second and I'll be with you. Okay, I'm with you. Whew, sorry, moment of panic there, tangible panic. Okay, so we're going to start by watching a video. The video will present a student talking about what makes the reading test difficult. She talks about what she found challenging in the test, including the amount of vocabulary that you have to deal with, time management, some of the difficult task types, and strategies for dealing with difficult tasks. Whilst you watch the video, I would like you to reflect on your difficulties or predicted difficulties, using therefore the video to elicit a reflection, a personal reflection on what you think your difficulties are in addressing reading material. Okay, let's see one. So let's get ready to watch the video. Here it is.
I suppose the reading test is not just a test of our reading abilities, it's more like a vocabulary test. We won't be able to do things like identifying specific information within the given text or recognizing the main ideas or opinions if our lexical range is limited. I think one of the biggest concerns for many IELTS test takers is time management, because we only have 60 minutes to read 3 passages, which may contain up to 900 words, and then answer 40 questions. Before taking the official test, I did a lot of practice tests. And when I first started, there was a trade-off between answering all the questions accurately and doing that quickly. So I had to try different strategies for different question types until I could find the strategies that work best for me. And thanks to that, when it comes to the real test, it took me about 50 minutes to answer all the questions. And I spent the last 10 minutes checking my answers and spelling. I had some difficulties with matching headings question type. So instead of reading on their headings first, I read the passages and try to summarize the passages in my own words. And I will compare my summary with their headings, and then I will match. I find that helps improve my accuracy a lot.
Okay. So let's try to think about what we've heard in the video together. What do you think her difficulties were?
Can I?
Of course you may. Thank you.
just realized some tips could be useful for us, but also she had problems in matching sentences, matching the exercise about matching sentences, because she said that she does not start from the heading to read the headings, but she tries to how to say, to build in mind the meaning and to find and to compare with the headings.
Okay. Right. Let's try, for example, to think broadly now. Matching sentences. Do we have? Do you think you have an understanding of the type of exercise that she's talking about? And if you do, how does it relate with real life tasks? Because as I said before, they're actually taken from real life tasks. Not just Tiziana, whom I thank for having observed this.
Yes, I think they are really different from everyday tasks because here you need to concentrate on some tasks that are limited in time. So you have to concentrate also on some more difficult things. You need to have a wide range of vocabulary, and for this reason, if you haven't got the whole vocabulary, this could involve you spending more time and reflecting, pondering on what you are reading, more than the time admitted. So I think that it's
okay,
a problem.
thank you.
That could be a problem.
Thank you. Does anybody want to add their point of view? Okay, so
can I?
Of course you may. Thank you.
Yes.
Please.
And yeah, so to be honest, I haven't really understood which type of exercise or which type of test is it. I mean, yeah, I'm reading one, but I don't really have it in my mind. But what I got is that she is looking for a way to get things right, even if she has some lacks in vocabulary. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So we will see the type of tasks very shortly. Let's not think about that for now. Do not worry about that. We will look into it. But right now, I'm actually very concerned that you do see instead a parallel between the preparation for an exam and the preparation instead of a preparation that enables you to function at C1 level. In reality, in real life, you do have to be aware, and not just implicitly, but you really need to be aware of the kind of logic that a speaker or a writer is conveying to you. At C1, you should never be left guessing what the message is or the stance that the writer or the speaker is taking. Do you understand what I mean by stance? By stance, I mean the theoretical position or the viewpoint, well, an informed viewpoint that the speaker or writer is putting across. And therefore, matching headings is not a vocabulary exercise. There's no such thing as a vocabulary exercise at C1. What the speaker says is that, of course, you need to have a larger knowledge of vocabulary, because otherwise you cannot infer, you do not understand basically the very words that are meant to allow you to grasp the viewpoint or allow you to grasp the logic that the reader or the writer is putting across. Now, before we look further into it, I would urge you to think of vocabulary as of two kinds. There is vocabulary that carries meaning, you know, the so-called meaning words. Obviously, they are very useful. We have an advantage if we speak Italian, the reason being that most of advanced vocabulary in English is often derivated from, is often Latinate, i.e. derivated from Latin languages, be it French, Spanish or Italian or Latin, which is often, I don't know if you noticed, but in English, Latin words are verbatim reproduced. Nevertheless, what was I saying? And there's another type of vocabulary which is a lot more important, and it consists of the signaling words that I will show you and I will list for you and I will teach you how to use them and so on and so forth. Perhaps not today, okay? In fact, not at all today, but in the future lessons. So the vocabulary you need to be aware of consists of content words, i.e., words meaning something, connected therefore to a topic, and other words which are used no matter what the context is in order to signal to you, or you in the future to signal to your readers and listeners the logic that you are adopting in your speech or in your writing. Is that okay? They're called signaling words for this purpose because they are basically signaling where you're going to with your discourse. I think that there are there any questions? I can see that there are notes. At the moment, I'm not quite able to find them. I think I need to stop sharing to view them. Or is anybody able to read to me if there are questions? Please do signal them to me by reading them out.
Yes, no questions written in the chat. So
thank
only
you.
Yeah.
But I would like to ask you.
Indeed, Christina.
What do you think about the idea of the speaker an aid, a help for her is to translate in her own language and to summarize the main idea of the text? And what do you think about this action?
I do apologize, Christina, but I'm not quite sure I've understood what you're asking. Would you mind terribly repeating what you said, what you asked?
The speaker tells us that one of her strategies is to summarize in her own language what she was reading before. And I would like to know, what do you think about it?
Well,
translation.
Okay, it is undoubtedly one of the things that is tested in exam. And we have to think of this is actually the one that you find yourself using the most in real life. I am thinking, for example, about my son's in my son's job. He is asked repeatedly to give summaries about reports that various stakeholders in his work do put across. He is constantly constantly writing reports, and his reports must be painstakingly accurate. He can't just write whatever comes to mind. He really needs to have a very clear outline of what he writes. He is very conscious of the fact that he's got, for example, not only engineers, for example, that he's writing to, but he's also got lay people who need to pick these reports up and understand what they, they deal with. And so this has got to do, do you know what, Christina? This will be a lot clearer when we start going towards learning to write, and I will ask you, and I will teach you rather, to write a paragraph and how the paragraph relates to the whole text and how the whole text needs to be delivered. I might tell you right now, because I mean, you will all be able to remember the fact that whenever they ask you to write a summary, something that I was hoping to keep towards, the second part of the lesson, but nevertheless, surprise is actually, it won't be a surprise any longer. Whenever they ask you to do to write a summary, the best strategy that is suggested is to take the topic sentence from each paragraph, and that's the best way to write a summary. If you are not able to do so, it means that the text was not written academically, i.e. it wasn't well written, because each topic sentence in a paragraph must introduce what the paragraph is about. No new topics will appear in the same paragraph. Only examples, only further evidence, only explanations of the topic introduced by the topic sentence are allowed in one paragraph, but certainly not new topics. And this is why, by taking the topic sentence of each paragraph, you are able to summarize a text or a speech, or a speech if you are able to speak to it, to play it and extract therefore the topic sentences in that sense. But how do we recognize topic sentences? Well, if it is in writing, it's easy to recognize them because you know that paragraphs are spaced. Conventions demands that they are spaced. However, this shouldn't be the only detectable characteristic of a paragraph. A paragraph must contain one of the signaling words I was talking about before. So if this is a text that, for example, describes something, I will have, descriptives whereby each topic sentence starts. If it is a chronologic pattern of analysis that the writer is adopting, I will see like first, the second, and finally, for example. If it is a cause and effect, paragraphs will illustrate this logic by introducing whether I'm talking about causes, whether I'm talking about effects, and whether I'm talking about a conclusion that I draw on these causes and effects. If I'm talking about problems and solutions, well, my paragraphs will be introduced by topic sentences that contain signaling words introducing words relating to problems, words relating to solutions, and interestingly, actually, the analysis of them, the evaluation of these problems and the solutions that are put to the reader's attention. Whether or not people are speaking or writing, at C1, they must be able to muster these signaling words, okay? Because you want your speaker and your reader because you do not want your speaker or your reader to guess at any stage what your intentions are, where you're going to with your text. Did I make this clear? Was I clear? Do you want to ask me any further questions? So,
okay.
Let's talk about what we've listened to further. I will download the video and I will make it available to you all. So please do not be too worried about not remembering what you've heard, you will be able to listen to the video again when I make it available. But now let's start by thinking. Let's start considering the characteristic of a typical reading paper. And since we are also preparing at C1 for those who are not preparing an exam, what makes what characteristic does a C1 reading task have? And I'm talking about reading task because you might be reading a newspaper, you might be reading a report at work, you might be, using basically English at a very advanced level. So there is an agreement whereby texts do have a length. It is not polite, and by polite I mean acceptable in the community, within the academic community, the C1 community. It is not acceptable to go on forever. Okay, readers should be given a polite notice, therefore, of the contents of what they're reading, and they should also be entertained for no longer than 60 minutes. This is the longest a C1 paper should take. In reality, the paper takes 60 minutes because it contains a variety of texts. Interesting for those who are taking the exam is this particular, that no matter what board you choose, the writing and the listening tests are conducted within the same session because they draw from each other. There's an order. So you do the listening first, and then you do the reading after that, and you do the writing as you do the writing for last, because you are supposed to use evidence from the listening as well as the writing. So you're taking notes basically throughout the paper. How many questions do I have to answer? Well, this is this is for those of you who are taking the test, who think of taking the test in the short future. We're talking about 40 to 50 questions in a test. That's what I know. And what do we read, therefore? Not just to prepare ourselves for a test, but what do we read in order to prepare ourselves to cope with C1 academic texts, i.e. C1 complex messages, complex discourses? So usually we are given 3 reading passages. Each are of about 900 words long, and they're taken from this material. They're taken from books, from journals, from magazines, from newspapers. So as you can see, books, journals, magazines, and newspapers. However, they are rarely original. Usually they are adapted in order to enable non-specialist users to understand them. So they have been written, basically they have been adapted, when we get them, they have been adapted for a non-specialist audience. The texts might contain images or diagrams or visual data, but they won't be very specialized or take any specialized knowledge to be able to understand them. Do you think you've understood that? Do you have any questions?
No, it's all right.
Good.
Very clear.
So, good. So what kind of questions do I have to answer? There are several, including multiple choice, matching headings and sentence completion, and more. Sometimes there is a summary, and it's borderline reading. So basically, you will use the reading texts in order to produce a summary, which is a written task, as you surely grasped. Okay, so this is pretty much it for now. Do you have any questions on what I told you so far? No? Okay.
No.
So let's talk about strategies. The vocabulary. The vocabulary load is is significant at C1, whether or not you are thinking of preparing yourself for a test. If you use English for real purposes, you will be matched by, you will be faced with tasks that entail from 2,700 words in 60 minutes or more. And obviously you will be met with unfamiliar vocabulary. So let's try to pass the word to you now. And I would like you to look at these 3 questions. Try to answer them in order for us to have a very brief discussions about what you do already, what you already do to increase your vocabulary. And how do you store new vocabulary that you learn? How do you deal with unfamiliar vocabulary? Do think about this, and let's share strategies amongst us.
Sarah?
Yes.
Hello, it's Monica. I'm sorry, I just got in now. Okay, I was in a school meeting, so I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome, Monica. Don't worry. No need to apologize at all.
Okay, now I will try to understand what you're doing. Okay, I'm just reading 2,700 words in 60 minutes and so on. Okay.
So your colleagues are actually ready. Your colleagues are busy reading 3 questions, the same that you see comparing see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the same, or you can do the same. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you they are thinking about that because we're talking about reading skills, advanced reading skills at C1. Whether you are preparing a test or simply preparing yourself to deal with complex academic content.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so are we ready to, whenever you're ready, whenever you want to put forward your point of view, please do so by reading the question that you are addressing and sharing with us your thoughts. I would, however, ask you very kindly to keep it brief, concise, in order to allow everybody to express their thoughts and opinions. Please do start whenever you're ready.
Can I start?
Indeed.
Yeah. For example, about increasing my vocabulary, I watch a lot of TV movie in English, and I usually watch movie with underlines in my language at the beginning, because I need sometimes to understand the meaning. I'm not so able to understand everything in English. Sometimes, if the movies is not very difficult, I try to understand with the English underlines. And about new vocabulary.
You mean subtitles?
Subtitles, sorry.
Okay. Don't be sorry.
About this, about the store, I have to be. I have to apologize with everybody, because I don't do like that. I mean, I forget a lot of words because I don't have any habits to write down, and I think could be a good way to do it, but I don't do it. And like a lot of students, when I find something unfamiliar, I go directly to website and finding on Google, on Reverso, on every site that can translate the meaning.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to share?
Well, I continue reading as much as I can, and of course watching TV with English films, but with English subtitles. And I try to create a storage with unfamiliar words. And
sorry, may I do beg your pardon?
For me, means I try to create a file, and in that file I put all the unfamiliar words, and I try sometimes to read them and to add new words. And it's important when I find the unfamiliar word many times in different contexts, in different books or in different areas. And if I find it more times, probably I can memorize it.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. I actually have, is anyone wanting to, does anyone like to speak? No? If I'm allowed that, whilst hopefully more of you will want to put their viewpoint across, I'd like to say a couple of things about what our colleagues have just shared. Obviously, watching movies is excellent. I do it all the time. Well, all the time is a very good, is an exaggeration. But I watch, the news, and I do try to, for example, in Chinese, I do try to to watch, 5 minutes of news with subtitles, and it is very difficult. And with any foreign language, I would say whatever sustains your motivation is fine, absolutely fine. There is no wrong recipe. However, we do need to keep in mind that we're preparing ourselves for a C1, and therefore we need to listen and watch material that tries to match that complexity. Is that okay? So that's the only thing I have to say about that. I have to insist on the linking words. Please do keep an eye on those linking words from now onwards. No matter what material you listen to or you watch, do try to spot them. For example, try to match how speakers or writers add information. Try to notice how they contrast previously given information with signposting languages such as however, nevertheless, by contrast, on the other hand, and the rest. And then I also have, I think I have a, let's be clear. This is great. This is a great way to, you know, alive and fluent. However, be mindful that in the exam, you are not asked to compose fiction language. You are asked to relate what you have heard, and you are asked, therefore, to put it in a logic, in the logic, in fact, that questions require. So whether or not you are given, for example, passages might be given from books, from fiction even, but you do not have to write fiction. So your language must be rather factual, based on the evidence that you are given, either in the listening or in the reading. Is that okay? So let's think about it as a review. You need to review the material, and you need to give answers that show that you're able to review and grasp the viewpoints of speakers and readers. Okay. And the last thing is about micro language. No matter what you're listening to, no matter what you're reading, do try, like our colleagues very, very wisely said, to have a systematic way to create word categories. You know, these categories in the future will help us to be able to do something that is highly priced in these exams. Use collocations. Do you know what collocations are? So they're basically words, expressions that avoid repetition. Yeah, you can't write the same thing, word all along. You need to be able to collocate it, you know, within its context, to find paraphrases for it. Basically, express yourself in a variety, in a decent variety. Well, at C1, basically. Okay. So, is anybody else wanting to share thoughts with us? How do you deal with unfamiliar vocabulary? This is tough.
I can try, but today.
Yes, please do.
I don't know. I think not so. I feel not so good speaker today, but I can try. Sorry for that.
Great.
No, with unfamiliar vocabulary, I usually try to have some information from the context, and normally I try to make a comparison with other languages or words that I know. So if for example, if it is a composed word, I can try to rebuild the meaning or something like that. With new vocabulary, when I was a good student, I used to write down, to write more time a word or a sentence. For example, I look for the word on a dictionary, but normally I used to, I have not so much time now, I used to write the word, but inside a sentence, with different kind of sentences, with different kind of meaning. And to write exercises, things like that. And to increase my vocabulary, I try, when I have time, I try to see some TED Talks, because movies are quite long. So TED Talks, perhaps, for me, they are better because they are quite short, and I can choose the topic if I'm interested in some particular topics. Or, normally I'm quite curious. So when I see a word that I don't know, I try to find out the meaning, or to guess, or to check.
Absolutely. And I'm quite there with you. I do agree with you when you say, I do agree with you with when you share the strategies to listen to documentaries or topic-based speeches or documentaries. Firstly, because they adopt exactly that advanced academic layout that we want to be able to reproduce, and lastly, because they contain that specialistic microlinguistic language that will cause a problem when we find it in a text. Actually, this is not the last. I want to add another thing. By knowing signposting language well, you might be able to guess the meaning of a word simply because the text tells you that it is opposed to the vocabulary presented in the previous sentence, okay? So if something is good, however, this something else is bad, it might be its contrary, or it might be basically something that you're able to guess simply because it is opposed to a concept introduced in a previous sentence or paragraph, okay? All right. So would anyone like to say something, or are we ready to go forward?
Well, just one thing, talking about new vocabulary or unfamiliar vocabulary, I find it very useful to look for synonyms, English synonyms. So when I have this new word or something, I'm not going to look at the translation in my language, but I look up for synonyms, and I write a list of them, and most of the times I can find in the list of synonyms something that I know. So I got the idea of the meaning of the new word, yes.
Yes, indeed. And that is a brilliant strategy. Moreover, whilst, I mean, we all have, I mean, I'm probably the older of all of you. And in my times, there was nothing but the vocabulary, let's face it. I mean, nowadays we're spoiled for choice. The text could be anywhere, and whether it is on my computer or on my phone, I can actually select it and ask Google to search the meaning for the meaning of it, its meaning, and or a synonym, or you know, the meaning is given to me obviously in the target language, and the explanation in itself will be exercise, will be very good reading practice. So do that, try to do that. However, linked to what I will say next is this piece of advice. Do not blame yourself, or do not punish yourself too much for not being able to do so, you know, to do a lot. You are all very busy, and there's a very limited range of activities that you can do. Do try to have a system. I think that having an organization is paramount, no matter what you do in life. You know, having a protocol, if you really want to cultivate your C1 skills, having a protocol will help you. You can give yourself, you know, bite-sized chunks, goals that are achievable. Okay, so bite-sized, achievable goals that do not put you off your learning, but instead give you the satisfaction and the advancement that you aim to achieve. Okay, so let's go forward. Let's talk about time pressure. Let me minimize this up more. So what do we mean by time pressure? All of that reading, so that amount of reading in just 1 hour, or in a brief time if you work with English texts, and answering 40 questions or 50 requires being under high pressure. And we need to talk therefore about managing not only time but also our stress levels, and talking about techniques that you have to use in order to feel that you are in charge of the time. Yeah. let's think about what techniques can you use to deal with time pressure, and how do you cope with time pressure in other areas of your life? So I would be really grateful if those of you who have not yet had a chance to speak take the opportunity to do so now.
Pressure. And could it be, can I, Sarah?
Of course, yes. I'm not quite able to see who is speaking. Can you tell me your name? Hi, Tiziana. Yeah,
Hi.
of course. I did ask, you know, for I just wanted to invite others who were who hadn't spoken before to do so. But
Okay.
please do not feel like I'm excluding you. If no one is speaking, and I have to.
All right. You're right.
You know, if no one is speaking, you have every right to put forth your opinion. Go ahead, Tiziana. Maybe someone else will be encouraged in the meantime to go after you. Go on, go ahead.
No, I just was thinking about techniques could be, for example, to give an overall reading, or to realize what is asked exactly. What the the idea was to have to give an overall reading, how to say, quickly, and to understand what is easier for us or more difficult, or for example to start from what is easier, so it gives us the chance to also to be confident in doing what is going to be done.
Yeah, well, you won't be disappointed. I will certainly do so, and I'm hoping to do one such exercise today.
Okay.
Yeah, timing. It is very important to manage time, but to manage time, you must have knowledge of not only how a text is organized, but also how to organize a text. I mean, they are hand in hand. They're the same, you know, the two faces of the same coin. You need to have certain strategies. One of them, hopefully two, will be introduced today: skimming and scanning. And in time, we will foster other skills. I've already told you earlier that it is important to know how a text is organized. Because if you know how a text is organized, you know that when they ask you to produce a summary, what you have to do is collect the topic sentences and make them into a summary, obviously respecting the amount of words that they ask you to reduce it to. So these are important techniques. We have mentioned skimming, we have mentioned scanning, and we have mentioned also being very familiar with text organization. So does anyone wish to put their point of view forward? Please do.
Excuse me, you said timing before, but what does timing exactly mean? Timing.
Well, if you are sitting an exam, it means that you've got, you know, a certain amount of time, and you really do need to complete the task within that amount of time, because there is no chance to repeat anything. In real life, it's also a matter of timing. You know, for example, in high stakes meetings, if you are the minute taker, there's only so, there's only the time you have of that particular meeting to take the minutes. And at the end of it, you will be given what, 20 minutes, and then you have to edit them up and send them to the whole board, for example. If it very much depends on what your work entails. If we are teachers, we really need to teach our students to manage texts, because you don't want students to read the texts from the first word to the last, thinking that that is how you understand the text. That is the first thing to, if anything, that is the best way not to understand anything about that text. You need to treat texts as maps. You need to map out your text. Later on, and I will announce, we will learn how to map a text. A text is organized in 3 parts: the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. Whether you are speaking the text or writing the text, this is how it is organized. In an introduction, you will have the background. In an introduction, you will also have the spine of the text, which is the thesis statement. The thesis statement says briefly what your point, what you will try to illustrate, to put across, whether it is a cause and effect or problem and solution and the rest of it. And it will also map the document, because often if you read, for example, reports or newspaper, or certain newspapers, they will tell you in the first part the article will illustrate this, in the second part we will talk about blah blah blah, and finally we will evaluate blah 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 blah. So mapping the text, also telling your reader what to expect. In the conclusion, you need to have a brief summary of what you have illustrated in the various, a brief summary of all the topics that you have treated in the single paragraphs. You will have a conclusion, i.e. the writer's conclusion or the speaker's conclusion. And you will also place your text, spoken or written that it is, in the future, meaning what you will basically tell the reader or whoever listens to you what relevance your text has. You will be able to tell your reader, well, in the future, in future meetings, since we have spoken about this and this and this and that, we will be able to explore this and this and that topic. If you are, writing for academic, for academic purposes, you will find yourself doing quite a lot. You really need to have the concern, you really need to be concerned of proving the relevance that you have, that your text has placed, not just in the present now and here and now, but in next week or in the future course of action. Do I make myself?
Yeah. This makes me think, because we work with...
But however, sorry, before Emanuela, you say something, I would like to reassure you that this is something that we can't do all in one lesson. This will be done in detail in the future. And now that we're focusing on reading, please do be concerned about collecting, therefore, examples of how texts are organized, because I will ask you to produce them later on in the course. Example of linking words, those words that map out the logic of the texts. This is what you need to be concerned about. And also, at the end of the day, the hard work of collecting specific vocabulary, microlinguistic vocabulary, must be yours, because there's no teacher on this planet who will do that for you. Okay? Teachers themselves will need to be skilled in these things that I'm telling you to cope with their own academic purposes. Is that okay? So knowledge is never absolute. I can tell you how to fish for knowledge, and the hard work, I'm afraid, will be yours. But since you want to do it, I'm sure that you will have pleasure in doing so. Emanuela, sorry for interrupting you. What were you saying?
No, I only wanted to say that we worked with some students on the practice of debate. And what you said make me think about this. There are very precise time to speak, and each speaker has to present, for example, or clarify his point of view, and before saying something, he has to divide, to say, okay, I'm going to talk about this and this and this. Very schematic presentation.
Yes.
No? Something like that.
They're highly structured texts. I mean, debates are the most difficult text to structure because they're highly protocoled. And because if they're not protocol, that becomes your weak point. Your debater will be very quick to say, well, you're very able to put a string of notions in a chain, but you have proven nothing but the fact that you're able to use "and" as a coordinator. So we're talking about the most difficult logic organization in the text there, composed of all the logic organizations I mentioned earlier. But it is not the time to do that now. Now, let me present a let me talk about task types in order to ensure that those who are preparing for the test are prepared, and those who are preparing for C1 do grasp the range of texts and the range of tasks that we are asked to do with them. There are usually 14 different task types that you might meet in reading text. You'll get an overview of, I said all of them. I should have actually said most of them, because all is a very is a claim that I cannot sustain. Were I to debate, they would actually find that as my weak point in the future steps. And you will receive advice to do so. So, why not starting to look at the first strategy? The first strategy to cope with reading text, to skim texts. Skimming means reading a text quickly to get the general meaning of the text without thinking about the detail. And this is where the key, the linking words play a very important role. Skimming is very important in exams, but also in real life tasks, because you have so much to read in a short space of time, and you need to quickly identify key information that will lead you to answer questions. I have an activity prepared for you. I have an activity that asks you to skim a text. I will briefly show you a video. In the video, there will be 4 paragraphs. You will see each paragraph for about 30 seconds. And you need to read the paragraphs to get a general idea of what the text is about. Please do not worry about trying to remember every detail. And also be aware that after you've watched the video, we're going to answer the questions together, okay? Right, and I put there a reminder for myself to press the play now. However, whilst I prepare to show you the video, I would like you to prepare with perhaps pen and paper in front of you. I have already told you that you will be you will be shown 4 paragraphs. And without giving you too many details, I'd like you to get ready, therefore, to take notes on 4 paragraphs. I don't want you to tell you more. However, I am tempted to ask you if you have any questions, because I don't want you to panic or feel or feel that it is too early for you to be independent in a task like this right now. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay. Actually, I think it's actually wiser if I show you the questions now. We will have time in the future. This will help you both if you are thinking of preparing for an exam, or if you are in academia or thinking about, using English for academic purposes, or, specialized university courses and the rest of it. No matter what you do, you will never be given a surprise. You will be gradually guided towards the task. So please take down these 4 questions in preparation of the task ahead.
Excuse me.
Okay. So
Can I ask a question, please, Sarah? Hello.
Hi, Nicoletta.
If we have to to practice skimming, how can we summarize the debate among mountaineers? The second question is, if we only have to skim, so,
well, you have to try, and that doesn't mean succeeding. You have to try to put in practice the advice that I gave you earlier, whereby topics are introduced at the beginning of a paragraph by means of topic sentences. So when you are showed a particular text, you will have to remember that You know, you have to clock that topic sentence. Try to clock the topic and proceed accordingly. Okay. And then we will look at these later. Yeah, I think it is important to, you know, it is a bit, I'm always trying, I always find myself fighting a bit this modus operandi that you've got that is, let's say, more trendy in Italy, whereby, you know, you go from a rule and you put that in practice. And I'm finding myself really starting the other way around all the time. And I'm sorry, but, you know, I think I am a bit strong with evidence that says that in Italy, you haven't really showed a particular proficiency in reading, understanding, and forgive me for quoting research that says that we are lagging behind a lot of European countries in these skills. And perhaps, you know, we have to put, you know, we have to open the door to new ways of doing things, because otherwise we just keep on repeating or banging our head, allow me, on the wall forever. English is not a language that you can apply rules to. You know, the whole of English is actually, how do I dodge this rule? You know, it basically is that, in a nutshell. If I had to explain English, is that, how do I dodge, you know, saying what I really mean in order to, you know, put all those conventions that I have to keep, blah, 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 face and the rest of it. Okay. So let's try the inductive process. That's what it's called. The inductive process means, you know, try to bite into it. And then if you really can't, start, you know, understanding how to bite into it a step at a time. Is that okay? But also, you know, reflect on what was difficult. If you do this text now and you don't necessarily know how to do, because, you know, I can't give you the answers, otherwise I might as well do the text for you. If you reflect, what did I find difficult? Why do you think you found that difficult? Then you might be able to prepare yourself with the strategies that you really need, and not with a list of grammatical rules that you will do nothing with at all. You know, comes the day of the test, or comes the day you have to, you know, work with English. Yeah. Or for those of us who are teachers, you know, protract this lie that, you know, English is a smattering of words and a smattering of English, of grammatical rule that find no explanation whatsoever when I present texts, discourses. So let's give it a go. However, if you haven't understood the questions, please do ask me. So, what the text is about, I'm not going to give you any help on that. Summarizing, I have given you a hint on how to do a summary. Obviously, you're taking notes, and you have, and I've already told you that you have a very, you know, a short amount of time to extract information from these texts. And then I've already told you that you've got 4 texts, but I'm not going to tell you, for example, I'm not going to help you on how to identify the paragraph showing the argument to moving from Europe to North America. And which paragraph mentioned environmental arguments about the use of climbing technology. I'm not going to help you on that either. Because I need you to put, basically I need you to throw you in the water and see whether you're able to swim, and you know, I won't allow you to sink. I will help you make it to shore with your own means. Is that okay? Set that. I'm going now to fish out the video. and I'm going to make sure that you can view it adequately. So there will be nothing to read. There will be there will be nothing to listen to. You will have to read it. So can you confirm that you can read, that you can view the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, shall we start then? And remember that you're also reflecting on how to deal with your stress levels. So please tell yourselves now, you know, come on, you are good. You will do your best, and there's nothing else that people can ask you because you're already doing your best. Yeah, good. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'm gonna come out of the, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Sorry, I need to show you, I'm aware that there are two paragraphs that you haven't seen yet. So let me share the screen again to show you that. Okay, here we go. Paragraph C.
No, we have seen that, Sarah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, have you seen all of them? My goodness, it was really quick then, wasn't it? Okay, then I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to come out of the presentation.
We have seen, not understood.
No more. You are.
I found it very difficult, very fast.
Yes, it is very difficult, and not just for you. It is difficult for me. It is difficult for anybody. This is C1. This is the closest you get to, well, no, this is not the closest you get. This is, you know, this is what it is, basically. This is what C1 is.
Sarah, I told you
Yeah.
also that I find difficult sometimes when the question is about the number of the paragraph and not about the meaning of the paragraph. I mean, I don't remember exactly the first one, the second, the third. It seems like in university when my teacher asked me what is written in the the chapter number 7. Sorry, there are 24 chapters. I don't remember the sequence. I know, you know.
Yeah, and that's why you needed to take notes. Did you manage to take notes?
We forgot completely, probably.
No,
I
try to write, but it's not very easy because you have to listen to read and write down.
Okay.
It was difficult.
So I am going to be a bit, I can see that you're panicking a bit, and I am going therefore to share with you an information that I was really hoping not to bother you with now and do later on in the course.
We can try now, and then if it's too difficult, we can have this information. No, don't you?
Right. No, I need to do it now, because otherwise, if I change my mind every minute, we'll spend basically 2 hours, fumbling, and I don't like that at all. So a paragraph is composed by these things. Topic sentence. Okay. It starts with a topic sentence, and then it will have examples, or explanations.
We can see. I don't know if you are sharing something, but we can see.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I can see.
You are not sharing.
No, I'm not, am I? Oh dear. I do that a lot. I keep forgetting what I'm doing with the technology. Okay. I'm sharing again now, right? So very briefly, I wanted to show you the following. Oh my God, where on earth? My computer's gone crazy. Stop, sorry, I need to stop sharing again. My computer has abandoned me. Oh gosh, here it is.
This morning,
Okay.
this morning, all Google system,
Yes.
we were doing lessons, all Google system crashed. I don't know what happened.
Yes. Yeah, it was a major national crisis.
Apocalypse now.
Can you see? No, because I'm not sharing. Sorry. Need to do it again. Okay. So basically, a paragraph is a topic sentence, examples or explanations, and a conclusive thought. Okay. Sorry, and a concluding thought. Okay. This is a paragraph. You know that these are, basically this is like a molecule. Okay. There will be no paragraph that doesn't have all these things. And so when you take notes on a paragraph, your notes should be arranged so, okay? Topic, sentence, and the key word for that, okay? Examples or explanations, and you're ready to take notes on that. A concluding thought, like pro or against, or whatever the conclusion is that okay? And I know that, it is easier said than done, but, believe me, as you keep on doing this type of exercise, as you keep on using this type of organization for your note taking, you will have the desired results. Is that okay? So now we're talking about paragraph. But for a moment, please stop panicking about paragraphs now, and let's see what we managed to do together. So let's see what you managed to do with the questions. The questions were, what is the text about? So in your own words, and please do not make me ask people. I find it so difficult, and I know that I have to do it, but it is really against my teaching philosophy. Please do remember that I have lived in the UK for such a long time, and there it is the rudest thing you can do to a person is asking them to come forward, you know, and speak when they don't want to. So please do take the word and say in your own words, what do you think the text was about? Maybe I can write it down.
Can I try?
Please do.
Climbing in the past and in the future.
Okay, so 1, what is the text about? Climbing.
Technology in climbing in the past and in the future. Well.
And also safety about climbing.
Okay, equipment.
What do you mean? What do you mean past and future? You really mean future in the time to come?
Sorry, in the past and in the present.
Okay. Past and present. What do we do? Findings?
Well, in the past and nowadays.
Skills or God knows what. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is a comparison between two way of thinking
Climbing.
About two way of approaching to mountain, because some mountaineers think that
okay, leave the details for another time. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you're right, but let's try to put in practice. Do you remember that I said that speakers really need to, you know, stick to the task? So the task is to tell me what the text was about, and we do it with a brief or composed sentence. So far, climate technology, an outlook of past and present findings or skills, a comparison between 2 approaches to climbing. Anyone else?
Tech equipment.
Could you repeat that, because I couldn't hear you?
Tech equipment.
Equipment. Is that what you mean?
Yes, see, okay. Equipment.
Climbing.
Tech.
I beg your pardon? Climbing?
Tech equipment. Tech climbing equipment, okay.
Is that what you, okay, fine.
Equipment.
Okay, climbing equipment. Anyone else?
For me, it was also related to the progress in the safety about climbers, and how it was changed during the years and the centuries, and even the preservation of the mountain and the rocks.
And the preservation of?
The environment, yes.
Yes, the environment, the mountain and the rocks, yes, in general,
Right. Remember, no detail, yeah? I really need to be a bit of a stickler about the detail. No details here. I want to know what the text is about, yeah? So let's keep, pretend that you're finding a title for it, yeah?
Difference between Europe and USA or the American?
Okay, so I've already got this one. So without detail, I think that this is already what we have, yeah?
Is there only one right answer? Is there only one?
No, there isn't just one answer. Rarely. I'd see one, however, there will be, you know, if it's not one, it's 2. And it's such a narrow margin that you've got of error. But what I'm trying to do here, because I mean, I'm not, you know, strictly speaking, I can't prepare you for an exam. Believe you me, I would ask you an awful lot of more money if I were preparing you for an exam, because it is such a difficult thing to do from a teacher point of view. Here, I'm teaching you to receive complex texts and appreciate that when someone asks you, what was it about? If I am at work and you need to write a report, and my question is, what was it about? You will need to tell me the logic of what you've read. So, you know, I like, for example, a comparison. You know, I like, you know, an outlook, because yes, it could be an outlook, an overview, all right? But it is a particular overview. And what the text was about will be answered with your ability, by means of putting in practice those linking words. Have you picked them up? What were they saying? How did they contrast information? Or how did they add on information? You know, what was it? Was it a comparison? Was it causes and effect? Was it, you know, problem and solutions? This is what you need to answer here, okay?
Because here the answer is included in the following question. It was an argument, no? Something like that.
Well, I have to disagree with you, and we will see why later. Yeah, an argument. I will tell you everything that there is to know about arguments. Believe you me, I will give you both outlines, and I will be very specific in the future. But now let's go back to what we're doing here. When they ask you what the text is about, basically you will tell them, you know, if at the end of the day, if you think that we're arguing about something, just tell them discussion. It was a discussion between this and that, okay? It was a discussion on blah, 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 because that's what it is. Argumentative writing is discursive writing, but we will see that later, all right? And then summarize the debate among mountaineerings. Okay, so what have you done here?
Some technologies are more invasive than others to the environment.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it is, isn't it? It also depends on how many words they give you. At this point, you weren't given any, you know, you weren't given any word limitations, but that's pretty much. So, do you want to repeat it again?
Some technologies used in climbing are more invasive than others during the history of climbing.
When you speak, sorry, when you talk about technologies, what do you mean?
Equipment.
I mean, yes, the items,
I think you need equipment. Yes. Okay, equipment. Okay. Technology is a bit different. Okay, equipment is what you are talking about. Okay, so some equipment. Go on.
For instance, pitons.
No. I don't want any instances now. So summarize the debate. So some equipment. What you said before was all right. So some equipment.
It's more invasive.
More invasive?
Less respectful.
Okay.
Respectful, perhaps.
So some climbing equipment.
Some of the mountaineers, this equipment are not. It's not fair for some of the mountaineers to use this equipment to climb a mountain because it makes it too easy for the people to climb it. It's not just a human against a mountain, maybe something.
Sorry, Elena, could you please repeat that?
So that the use of this equipment, it makes unfair the climbing of the mountain because it makes it too easy for someone to climb it. So it's no longer the the challenge of the man against the nature.
Moreover, certain affords, let's put the present tense, unfair is that do I write it correctly? Is that what you wanted to say, Eleanor?
Can you please share the screen, because
oh, you got to be
sharing.
I'm so sorry, Eleanor. I do this all the time, don't I? And I'm there working my socks off and you can't even see it. Oh.
But it's nice to see the faces of the people speaking, so don't worry.
Yeah, and my face when I'm actually trying to right away listen to you at the same time. So first, that's what I wrote in answer to your first question. You will have all my notes, so don't worry about that. Yeah, climate technology, an outlook of past and present finding skills, a comparison between two approaches to climbing, climate equipment, progress in climate safety approaches, and the preservation of mountain environment. This is at the level of notes. Yeah, this is just a draft, so let's not be too taxing on this. And then when you need to summarize the debate among mountaineers about the use of technology. Some climate equipment proved to be less environmentally friendly than others. Moreover, and I put it in bold because it is one of those linking words I really want you to learn to love and use. Moreover, certain equipment affords unfair advantages in competitions. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3. Which paragraph shows the argument to moving from Europe to North America?
The second or the third one?
Third one, maybe?
Third one.
I think the letter C.
And you are correct. Okay. And why? Do you remember what made you think that? What is it that guided you to give that answer?
Because it quoted about an American climbers, more than one, and there was also something related to an helicopter. So the argument moved from Europe to North America.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, question number 4. Which paragraph mentioned environmental arguments against the use of climbing technology?
The last one.
Indeed.
D, letter D.
Yes, indeed. And what made you think that? What made you understand that it was the last one?
Because there was a conclusion.
Okay.
Yes, and it also in the first sentences it summarizes the argument.
Okay. I was hoping that did anyone manage to pick up some specialistic vocabulary?
Python, for example.
Okay, Pythons.
What does it
Okay, I mean, Pythons are a specific type of tool that you use and that replaced others, bolts, for example. But what makes you understand? I mean, you know, there is an environmental argument, but not argument in the sense of, argumentative writing, against the use of climbing. What language speaks of against? Does anyone remember words that spoke of being against?
For instance?
Maybe a comparison.
Yeah, and I'm fishing for language. What language was talking about being against the use of climbing technology?
For instance, when it quotes about the climbers who used the helicopter and boosted his experience.
Okay, all right. You did a grand job. And I really want you to appreciate now, okay? Now this task is finished. And it was very cold turkey, wasn't it? Do you know what cold turkey means?
Yes,
basically
like a tricky.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, going till cold turkey means to have no preparation whatsoever for something and just do it. Yeah, it's actually used a lot for people who are giving up an addiction, for example, smoking or, drinking or more serious addictions. If you go cold turkey, basically it means that from one moment to the next, you stop smoking or you stop drinking and the rest of it. So this was a bit of a cold turkey treatment, isn't it, to skimming? But I would like you to appreciate how well you have done. I mean, I don't know about most exams will allow you to keep the reading texts. Yeah. So you will be able to go, back and forth, but you will be severely punished for copying any language that they contain. You need to paraphrase everything. So as I said, most boards will leave the text with you. However, you will not be able to keep them for the writing, and you will need, therefore, to take notes for what you want to write about, okay? You really need to take notes on what you read in order to be able to use it later in the text that they ask you to produce. And they will be very clear whether they want a cause and effect, a descriptive text, a problem and solution and evaluation, pattern of analysis, a chronologic writing, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? You have done extremely well by being, when you were allowed to just glance at 4 texts on the same topic for 30 seconds each time. Therefore, I would like you to use your little hand to pat yourself on the back and tell yourself you've done really well. You've done really well, okay? You should be proud of you. You should be as proud of you as I am. Yes. Okay, stop being Italian for a moment and please use, stop thinking that there's only 10, there's 9 and there's 8 and there's 7 and even 6 is really, really good, okay? Because you showed to me that you have great understanding of the written text. I see your faces and honestly, you're not convinced and I'm taking it very personally now because you need to trust me, okay? I am not exaggerating, okay? I'm definitely not exaggerating.
You are.
So I'm aware of time and I also want, sorry, someone was saying something?
You are a good motivator.
No, I'm not. I am the worst you can have. Why? Because I'm quite demanding, actually. So they tell me, all right? If I motivate, but I do want to motivate you, but I do not encourage, I am not able to lie, in fact, you know, when we were answering to the questions, I was very factual, but you do need to see that you were very close. You didn't lose track one moment of where the text was going. You really clocked the logic of the text, and of that you must be proud of, all right? That you need to find encouraging. I hope that you will find my teaching guiding, but, you know, and of course I give you encouragement, but, you know, my encouragement always starts from the point of view that the hard work must be put in by yourselves. Is that okay? I mean, I will give you the tasks, and you will need to do the rest. I'm aware of time, and I will tell you as follow. Let me present again, because I need to show you what you need to do next. So in the weeks to come, oh gosh, I've lost. Sorry, I need to stop doing this again because I need to find. Okay, here I am. So the next reflection, the next guideline was to watch the video again to check your answers. And this time you can pause the video if you need to. Obviously, we do not have the time to do it now, but I do hope that you will find some time to do it in the next 2 weeks. So do not expect any more material from me. This is what you will need to do from now to then. And also do reflect on these questions. How did you feel during this exercise? Was it easy? Did you get the answers right? And hopefully next time we will share thoughts on it. But please do pay attention to your stress levels. If at any point during the task you were more concerned about, oh my goodness, I won't have anything to say, do try to write it down. And next time, have a little thought in front of you that says, hey, keep an eye on the price and stop feeling nervous about getting there. Is that okay? It is the process must be more important than the outcome in our course. Is that okay? As I said, I'm not preparing you for an exam. I am showing you what they do in the exam simply because in those exams, they use real life problematics, real life texts. Is that clear? But the process must be paramount in our course and not the outcome. Okay, I have nothing else to say, and now I'd like to listen to you. Do you have any questions? Do you have any observations? I will make all material available to you on WhatsApp very shortly.
I think,
or in the cloud if Elena guides me to do that.
Is it correct that we'll see you in the next year?
What do you mean? Sorry.
In the 2021.
Oh, yeah. Did I say in 2 weeks? Sorry, please do not come back on Christmas Day or whenever Christmas is. When is Christmas? On the 25th. Sorry. And therefore, yeah, I'm not going to see you on the 28th, but rather in the next year. Yes. Sorry. I'm still, I'm still in China, and I'm still in the Middle East, where Christmas, they told me it was Christmas probably in February, and I was saying, oh yeah, I'm celebrating whatever there was, in that particular place on earth where I was.
Just
okay.
Want to tell you happy Christmas and
thank you.
Take a rest.
And I do get the opportunity, thank you, Paloma, because you give me the opportunity to wish you all a serene, a happy holiday, a time to relax, to find yourselves again, to forget about, any deadlines or, any burdens that work or life throws upon you.
Thank you.
And good health for you and your dear ones. Look after yourselves, take care, and have all my very best wishes.
Yeah, I think some more time will be useful for every one of us.
Yes, yeah.
Some more free time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do treasure
Excuse
that.
me, can I ask you, you didn't do the appello? How do you say the appello today?
Yeah, I was really naughty, and I asked Eleanor to do that for me. So she actually sent me 2 screenshots
Oh, sorry.
with your names, and I am indebted to Eleanor a lot, because next time I need to remember to fish out whatever link I have in order to do that. Yeah, sorry.
Buone feste a tutti.
Grazie.
Ciao Paloma.
Merry Christmas.
Have a lovely break, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, my love.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Big hugs and lots of love.